On the 2nd of September 2018, I travelled down to Sydney with two of my friends to see Dan and Phil perform their stage show Interactive Introverts. I vlogged a little on the day, planning to turn it into a recap video later on, but unfortunately it was constantly pushed to the back of my schedule as other videos took priority. Today, however, I'm finally sitting down to talk about what was probably one of my favourite experiences of last year. So without further ado, let's begin. I can't believe it's actually here. Hey guys, Forever Fangirl here. So today I'm going to Dan and Phil's tour Interactive Introverts. I'm a big fan of their videos, so like this is really exciting. I've been waiting about a year for this, like since we first found out and I got tickets and everything. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna have the chance to meet them. We tried really hard to get VIP tickets, like we were there when the clock ticked over to buy tickets so that we could try and get these VIP tickets. And there was a whole bunch of factors that kind of contributed to it. We didn't realize that we couldn't buy tickets online, so we had to call, and then we finally got through and they picked up the phone and then hung up on us straight away. We didn't even get a word in. Then we found out that it was supposed to be a completely different number that we were meant to be ringing, and then by the time we finally got through, there were no VIP tickets left. I'm not salty, what are you talking about? But yeah, despite the fact that we're not gonna meet them, like I'm still really grateful that we actually managed to get tickets. I know that there's a lot of people out there who couldn't afford it or too far away or just didn't get there in time. And I know they filmed the LA show, so like everyone gets to see it, which is good. But you know, it's not the same as being there live, obviously. I remember when Tatanoff came to Australia and I was like, yeah, you know, I'd like to go, but you know, I won't be unhappy if I don't go. Obviously this was before I had gotten way too emotionally invested in these two British men. And then it came out on YouTube Red and I was like, yeah, this is great, this is amazing, but you know, it's not the same as actually being there. So yeah, I am very grateful that we're going to be able to actually experience this. And you know, like, the people who probably got VIP tickets probably deserve a lot more to meet Dan and Phil than I do. There's people out there who have been watching their content since like they began, like years and years. And there's other people who have like gotten through tough times just because of their videos. But yes, anyway, I need to get changed and actually get ready. I don't know, I'm so excited! I've spent the past 24 hours trying to finish this freaking painting for an art assignment at school. I had to like paint in all this black stuff. I etched it first, so I had like a guide and it was kind of just really color in between the lines, but oh my god, it took forever. I'm so glad it's done. Okay, look, I know that this is completely irrelevant, but this artwork had just taken up the past 80 hours of my life. See, my body of work, which is what this artwork was a part of, was due the day after Interactive Introverts, and I wanted to finish it before I went to the show because I didn't want to be stressing about it whilst I was there. But of course, being the procrastination queen I am, I left the most intricate and time-consuming part of this body of work until the last minute. So I'd spent all of Thursday and Friday etching this thing so I could put it through the etching press at school before I went home for the weekend. And then I spent Friday evening, all of Saturday and Sunday morning trying to paint this thing. It was painful and stressful and absolute hell, but I finished it 3 hours before we were meant to leave and I was so relieved. Anyway, the others arrived around 3 so we could get going. We live a few hours away from Sydney, so even though the show didn't start till 7, we had to account for travel time and finding parks and all that fun stuff.
You know who I am. Yeah. Wait, not sponsored.
This is Claudia.
Wait, not sponsored.
Oh no, we're not sponsored. This is becoming a thing. We are not sponsored by anyone, but hey, if you want to, please do.
Also, a huge shout out to my dad because he drove us to and from Sydney even though it was Father's Day. He'll probably never watch this video, but in case he does, I just wanted him to know that that did mean a lot. So on our way down, we played a variation of Truth Bombs. We couldn't exactly set up the game in the car, so instead I read out the cards that come with the game, and we all took turns roasting each other and ourselves. It was good fun. By the time we arrived at the State Theatre, it was almost time for the doors to open, so we decided to forgo dinner so that we could line up for merch and hear the legendary pre-show playlist.
Here we go! I've never been in here before. This is giving me Hogwarts vibes. I know, it's like really old-fashioned.
At this point, I decided to switch to videoing on my phone because that's a little bit less conspicuous than an actual video camera, and I didn't want staff thinking that I planned to film the actual show and kicking me out.
Love lining up for merch next to the trash where we all belong.
Alright, quick pause for a merch haul. Aside from this shirt I'm wearing, I also got one of these bracelets. Alicia bought a cap, which I proceeded to borrow constantly for the next 5 months until I bought my own online, and Claudia got one of the hexagon t-shirts. t-shirts. After we paid for all of our stuff, we headed into the theatre itself to take our seats.
It's here and it's actually happening! Oh, I'm gonna cry!
Before we start, I have to say something important. Turn off your phones or I will beat you up. Just kidding, I'm inside a phone so I can't do that. But if you take any photos or video you might get kicked out. In all seriousness, no one wants to sit behind some dude watching the whole show through an iPad. Trust me, I've been inside iPads. Plus people on the internet might not want the show to be spoiled. So please turn off your cameras and phones so we can all be in the moment together and enjoy it. I mean, I can't be turned off, I still have more banging tunes to play.
Oh my god.
But everyone else, please do. The show is nearly here so let's get back in. This next tune is dedicated to Dan, because he forgot to charge me. Now drop the beat.
Yes! Did you see my back? To see how much you meant. He said, "Someone you woke up, would you be the savior of the brand, the beaten and the damned?" Lights off.
If you're watching this video with headphones, I am so sorry. Now, obviously I didn't film the show itself because I knew it was being professionally filmed in America, and I didn't want to watch the whole thing through my camera anyway. One of the perks, however, of uploading this so long after the show is that everyone has seen it now, so I can talk about spoilers as much as I want. I'm going to assume that if you're watching this, you have seen Interactive Introverts and therefore know what happens in the show. So I'm not going to go into great detail and give like a blow-by-blow description of everything that happened, because that's what the movie's there for. But I do want to talk about some of the things that were unique to our show. First off, being Father's Day, Dan thought that it would be a good idea to wish Phil Happy Father's Day. So yeah, that happened. So our truth bomb questions were, what would be the worst kind of torture for Phil? I can't remember what the other submissions were, but I do remember that the winning option was a slow cheese bath, which honestly just sounds gross in general. I know. For Dan, it was, what job would he have if he wasn't doing YouTube? And I remember these ones. It was a sad lawyer, a meme dealer, or just unemployed. Meme dealer won. And for the joint question, it was, if Dan and Phil had a documentary series about them, what would the title be? The winning answer was Fringe and Cringe, but I also remember another option being Phil and his #1 stalker, which I personally think should have won, but anyway. Our collective audience name was Tracy, which just reminds me of that one cartoon from when I was little. And of course we chose all of the bad options for the simulation. RIP simulation, Dan and Phil, you will be missed.
We're at interval at the moment and feelings. I'm like, I can't stop smiling. I love it. They're actually there. They're like so close. They're like that big. Like you could probably do that and then be like maybe big up. Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing. I like that. What you made me do. What you made me do. This is life support right now. We didn't have dinner. Thanks for the food. Not sponsored. Down there in the rain. It's the final countdown.
The second half opened with Dan shooting projectiles at Phil, who was strapped to the Wheel of Death. I didn't participate in that part of the survey, I just left it blank when I did my submissions. I wasn't expecting that, but I'm very glad that I didn't answer that bit. But aside from that, I don't remember a lot of the specifics from the second half, which is kind of frustrating because I can remember that Dan and Phil told us their favorite Tim Tam flavors. Dan's is caramel, Phil's is white chocolate, but I can't remember who won the Dan versus Phil or the questions that were in the Q&A. So yeah, thanks for that one, brain. One section of the show that is kind of hard to forget though is Phil's diss track, Dan playing the piano, and the duet at the end. Like, that was probably the highlight of the show. And can we just take a moment to appreciate Dan's piano skills? Like, this guy is singing and playing at the same time, and half the time he's not even looking at the keys. I don't understand how he does it, and I'm very jealous. Anyway, so rewinding a little bit to the beginning of the night, some fellow fans had printed out these cute little paper hearts for everyone to hold up to their flashlights at the end. So when it came time for the finale, the theater suddenly lit up with all these multicolored lights. And yeah, it was just really amazing because Dan and Phil obviously weren't expecting it, and it was nice to kind of be able to give back to them in some way. So yeah, a huge shout out to the 3 people who organized that.
That was amazing! It was so good! I don't want it to be over! Oh my god! Back to my actual camera now because I was kind of scared in the theater that they were going to kick me out if they saw me with the camera. This is where the Phantom car is now. Yeah, the Phantom car. This area here, it was literally, we saw a car drive from there through and back onto the road and we're like, how did it get out? It's literally blocked off. I mean, it could have been just doing like a U-turn or something, but you know, it's Phantom car. It's just so much more interesting. Hang on, let me swap sides so that you can be in the shot. There we go. So yes, I'm dead. I'm deceased. I'm done. I know. I screamed so much. I was like, ah. My throat is dead. My hands are numb. I'm clapping so much. It was great. Oh my god.
I screamed at pretty much everything. Like they said the word, no one
I know, it's great. But no, it was really good and wow. So much happened and I'm dead. I'm done.
Overall though, the show was fantastic. It definitely lived up to all of my expectations. And my expectations were pretty high. The sound levels were a little bit too loud for Phil's diss track, but that is literally my only criticism. Everything else was great. It went a lot quicker than I expected, but I feel like that's probably just because I was having so much fun. And my face hurt by the end because I just spent like 2 hours smiling non-stop. Despite what I knew about the show from like ads and what other people were saying about it, there was actually still quite a lot that was a surprise. And it was also really cool to know that every show was unique, so no one else got the exact same experience that we did. And it was also just really nice to be surrounded by a bunch of fellow Dan and Phil fans who all knew the in-jokes and references that we knew. So the day I plan to upload this video is September 2nd, 2019, which will be exactly 1 year after I went and saw Interactive Introverts. Seeing Interactive Introverts live is something that I'm always going to be grateful for. I'm so happy that I was able to go, not only because of what it was, but also because it gave me something to look forward to amongst the sea of assessment tasks and major works that was HSC. I may not have been able to meet Dan and Phil this time, which I'm still slightly salty about, but it was still a wonderful experience. But anyway guys, that's it for this video, so thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, feel free to leave a like and a comment below, and you can subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see my future videos. And of course, I will see you all next time. Bye!